welcome back to my channel. I'm Pixie Sticks and I'm so happy to have you here with me today. Today is a video I've been excited about because I totally splurged and I bought jelly gouache. I had heard about the Himi jelly gouache for probably about a year now, and I could not get enough of review videos of it. It just looked so fun and so cute, and I love working with gouache. I haven't done it very much, but what I have done has been really fun. And then I saw that it has been rebranded, or there's a new version out by Arrtx, and the colors are slightly different, and I couldn't decide which one to get, so I got them both. I'm really excited to work with these and see how they are and let you know my thoughts, so let's get into the video.
So I gotta say, when I first got these and opened them up, I was confused because I didn't know they were made by the same company, which I guess is Lightwish Studios, but they came with the same little insert that had bad grammar, and they're in exactly the same kind of container. The Arrtx one had a bit more packaging involved, but yeah, so I guess they're by the same company. Like I mentioned before, they have slightly different colors, and I'm very interested to see if there's any difference in the way they function. The Arrtx version came with a little postcard inside and a color swatch sheet with the names of the colors on it, and I felt that was pretty helpful. It took me a while to find out that the Himi ones had colors listed on the bottom also, but it was very hard to see the names of the colors. I actually had to zoom in with my phone to read them. I had seen other artists have a really hard time getting the lids off of these, so I put a nice protective surface over my desk, and I took my time, and they were actually pretty easy for the most part. I think I struggled with one of the yellow ones, and you'll see that here in the time lapse of me tearing these off. I actually found it really satisfying to open these up one at a time. One of the things I really like about these palettes too is the way that these can be moved around to suit your preferences. It was really nice to just be able to plop them down anywhere I wanted, and oh my gosh, the sound it makes when you plop it in there. So satisfying. So then of course it was time to repeat that process with the Arrtx paints. If anything, I found these even easier to remove the lids from than the Himi brand, so that was pretty cool. Also, some of the colors in here are just amazing. The Himi colors I feel like are a little bit more bold and strong. And speaking of the differences in colors, I definitely felt like I should swatch them all just to see where we stood with each of them. And even though my swatching was pretty messy, I was impatient and didn't wait for things to dry well enough. I think it was a good representation of what the colors could do. There are some colors that are the same in both palettes, but I actually felt like the Arrtx ones were easier to handle and manipulate, and maybe that's just because I did them second, so I got used to the process, and maybe it's because they're actually slightly better paints. I'm not sure. For today's illustration, I sketched and lined the original using Procreate, and then I printed it out on just regular old printer paper. And then I used the graphite method to transfer that onto my watercolor paper, which is just where you basically use a soft leaded pencil to kind of scribble all over the back of the lines and then place that on your watercolor paper and trace over it with a pencil or pen to transfer the image onto the paper, and then it leaves a nice light little sketch. This method definitely worked better for me than the last method I tried when I did my previous gouache painting, which you can see, I'll link it in the iCard up above. But basically I tried to use my iPad as its own light box and trace directly off of that. and it just wasn't bright enough no matter what I did, and I couldn't see what I was doing, and it kept moving around, so this was definitely a better solution. I decided to only use the Arrtx gouache for this piece and to do a different piece later with the Himi gouache so I could really kind of feel the difference between them. I felt like the colors in the Arrtx palette worked really well with this illustration that I had sketched up. And speaking of this illustration, it's going to be a Draw This in Your Style on my Instagram in celebration of hitting 500 followers. So big thank you to everyone who follows me over there, and if you'd like to take part in this Draw This in Your Style, go check out my Instagram and all the details should be there. I always get so excited to start these traditional paintings because it's such a fun process to actually work with the paint and move it around on the paper. But then it comes time to actually do it, and I get so nervous. Since I'm not an experienced painter other than digitally painting, I kind of feel like I don't know what I'm doing, and that gives me a lot of anxiety when it's time to start the piece. And even during the piece, a lot of times if I'm doing a drawing, even traditionally, once I start, I'm fine, I can just keep going. But with paintings, I feel like I struggle with that the entire time I'm working on the piece because I'm afraid I'm gonna really mess it up. I don't know what I'm doing. That's part of the reason I prefer working with gouache to working with watercolor, at least so far. It's because I feel like gouache is more forgiving when you make mistakes because it's opaque and you can paint over pieces. And I did find that very helpful in this piece also. There were a few spots that I definitely had to start again and try once more to get things looking the way I had envisioned them. Since I'm a perfectionist, I have to keep reminding myself that it's okay if my art doesn't turn out perfect. I'm not an expert at this, I'm still learning, and the only way I'm gonna learn is to make some bad art. So even if I don't like how this turns out, I learned a lot during the process. I learned that gouache dries very quickly. I learned that it's much easier to put a darker color over a lighter color than vice versa. I learned that I can use a really watered down version of a color or just water itself to smooth out a gradient. And with each painting I do, I know I'll learn something new, and that's what I have to keep telling myself because I get a little frustrated sometimes that things aren't working out the way I thought they would or the way I think they should. Even the process of trying to fix things helps me learn how to do better next time, even if the repair job doesn't work 100%. One thing I noticed that I tended to do was to take a color on my mixing tray and use it, and then I want to use that same color but slightly tweaked, so I mix another color into that first one, and then I realize later when I need that first color again that I've mixed it away into another color and I have to try to remix it into that same color. So I really need to try to keep my colors separated better, make sure and retain a little bit of the one I had before, make sure and mix enough for everything I need it for, and those are things I feel like I can only learn through experience. I really enjoyed working with this paint though. I found the colors really lent themselves to the style that I was going for, which made it easier for me as a noob because several of the colors I wanted were in the palette or were there and just needed slight adjustment to get them where I wanted. And now guys, it's win of the week time. Every video I like to talk about something that's going well in my life and encourage you to let me know in the comments what's been going well for you that week. It's nice just to have a little bit of positivity every week to look forward to. So my win this week is that I was able to have my daughters here for 4th of July weekend. Usually they're gone for the summer and their dad gets them for that holiday, but the weeks just worked out this time where they came to see me for that weekend, so we got to celebrate together as a family, and it was just really nice to have most of us under one roof for that. Don't forget to check out the win of the week thread below in the comments and let everybody know what's been going well for you.
So guys, that was my experience with the Arrtx Jelly Gouache. I really like how this piece turned out, even though there were definitely some things I could have done a bit better. I'm still learning, so I'm pretty happy with this. What are your thoughts about the piece and about the gouache? Do you have the Himi gouache? Have you tried the Arrtx gouache? Would you like to see a follow-up video where I use just the Himi gouache? Let me know. Either way, thanks for being here and watching the video, and I will see you all next time. Bye everybody.